think we are live. I'm gonna hop over here. If you guys can hear me, write in the chat so I know that you can hear me. I can't even begin to explain the amount of technical issues I have been having. It looks like my connection is good though. Go ahead and grab your natal chart. For those of you who are new, welcome. Linked on the post on Patreon is an apprentice cheat sheet, which I highly recommend printing out. It'll really help you to dive deeper into your chart, look at house placements and planetary placements. And then I also listed a couple of resources for printing natal charts that I recommend. And yeah, I recommend having that with you and a notebook and a pen to take notes. Just getting situated here, and then we're gonna dive in. I hope we get through this video okay. I don't think it's working. Okay, hold on. I need to go and check this. I don't know what's up with this Aquarius moon, but it's giving me so many issues. Video unavailable. Oh, it's the old link. Okay. Yeah. Oops. What did I do here? Hold on, guys. I'm gonna post this in Discord and everybody. And then I can send a new one on Patreon too. I had a feeling I did something like that. Okay, hold on. I don't know what this moon is just. It's just been like really crazy over here. Okay. And it does. I think I just forgot to put it down below. I think the top one is good, but we're just gonna go ahead and change these and we'll get started. You guys might be hopping in. There are links places, but okay. Oh, Uranus. Okay. Notify people. Yes. Okay. That should be good. Hi, Sharon. I had the wrong links, so I went and changed them, and hopefully that's better. I've had a lot of issues. Square, I need you to lay down, okay? Thank you. I spent last night, I spent $300 on new astrology software for my Mac, got a new, all the streaming software and everything on there, and then spent all day setting up my scenes and everything like that. And then the last thing I tried to do was share the software, and it wouldn't share it. So I have 2 computers up right now, and neither one of them have everything I want to talk about. And it's just been a whole trip over here. I've been all over the place, you guys. So hopefully I make sense, but I do see why this happened, because I needed the new software in order to locate certain asteroids, and I also needed this extra day to like dive deeper into like the concept of fate, which is a key aspect of this lunation through an aspect pattern known as a kite. We actually have two kites happening in the sky right now, and these aspect patterns are said to be associated with fate and destiny and like the bigger plan, the like plan that when we say, oh, I want to get in alignment with my mission, with my purpose, with like what it is I came here to do, it's like that plan, where we kind of get out of the way and we're able to kind of like do what it is that our soul is meant to do. So I got to dive deeper into that. So while all the technical difficulties were super frustrating and annoying and still not at all fixed, I'm on the broken computer hoping that it doesn't completely glitch tonight again. I kind of see why it happened, and it's a very Uranian thing, like unexpected, shocking upsets that like force you to do something different in order to like obtain some sort of like higher knowledge of like awakening, or progress forward in some way. And so I do see how that happened for me. So you can expect that similar energy to be showing up for you guys throughout this Uranus retrograde, particularly while he's in this like stationary period, because he's so standing still, going so very slow. And when that happens, when planets are retrograde, especially when they're stationing direct or stationing retrograde, they're very strong. And so their archetype and their energy is very strong. And right now it's Uranus with these two Aquarius new moons back to back, Saturn transiting through there throughout the year. And now Uranus retrograde happening right here around these two Aquarius moons. It's very Uranian in nature. So we're going to get into some slides here. My hair is all crazy. Sharon, I wish I could eat some of your delicious baked goods that you have been baking. They look so amazing. I'm over here drinking some tea that I made from herbs that I grew in my garden and then I harvested myself, so that's super magical. I'm going to be sending out this tea blend to all the patrons this month. All the patrons in the tier that I mail things to, not all the patrons. My garden is not that big. Okay, so this is, Sharon is currently stuffing her face. Well, please stuff your face for me. All right, so this is the thumbnail. These are all things that we're going to cover as we get into the slide. So I'm kind of just going to get into it because usually I just spend like a whole bunch of time on there. Go ahead and homegrown tea. Yes, and it's like local honey from the farmer's market, from local wildflowers, and it's delicious. It's really good. Those were like my first 2 sips that I've taken because it was really hot, and so it's really good. Hopefully it's very grounding. Okay, Melly says, yum. All right, so go ahead and grab your natal chart. And we're going to look and see where a couple of houses are before, I take you all off in all the weird places that I go. We're going to try to look at some actual astrology really quick here. So go ahead and look and see where Aquarius falls in your chart. If you have been a Patreon member, you know where this is because we looked at it for the last full moon. If you're new, you might be looking for it now. So take a moment to look and see what house is activated by Aquarius. There's a little summary of the energy of that house here on this slide. Feel free to screenshot it. And then that apprentice cheat sheet that is linked below pretty much every video I do because I really value that cheat sheet. I used that. That's what I used when I was first learning, and it was just so valuable to me being able to like learn the language of astrology and learn my own chart and just like reference. And that's why I link it to everything, because I really, really, really do love it. I want to make my own and add some more stuff to it with like the starseed points and stuff too. It's on my list of things to do, which is very long. So go ahead and look and see what house that is, and then look on the apprentice cheat sheet. It has like a deeper look at that house. I also recommend Googling it, looking up what does that house mean. Is it my 10th house of career? What does that really mean? And you'll find blogs that like dive deeper into it, that will like spark things in you, that will just help you to like better understand your chart as it's being activated. You want to also look and see where Leo is. This is this axis of polarity that is being activated. If you have followed me for a while, you have heard me say that we do not have 12 signs. We do not have 12 independent signs of the zodiac. We have 6 different axes of polarities that are seeking balance, okay? You have 0 houses in Aquarius, lol. So you probably have 0 placements in Aquarius, Melly. But, and this might be a good time to actually mention this, is that everybody has every sign in their chart. So I actually don't have any placements in Aquarius, but Aquarius rules my 6th house. It rules, which is empty. There's asteroids there, but it's empty. And that rules my routines, my work, my health, like Virgo type energy, which is why I'm so scattered. Because the house that's supposed to make me organized is represented by Aquarius, the archetype of Aquarius, which is just kind of a little bit all over the place. So some area in your chart, Melly, it may be empty, it may be an empty house, but a number is activated, and that is the area of your life that Aquarius rules. And every house is ruled by a sign. If you ran your chart with whole sign, it would be just 1 sign per house. Now, if you ran it through like Placidus, which more likely than not, it's probably ran through Placidus if you put it through an app or any sort of like defaulted setting, it usually defaults to Placidus. And so depending on where your rising sign is, Aquarius or any other sign could take up more than 1. It could fall kind of like in between. So if you need help, just post it on Discord in the astrology section and tag me, and I will look at it and tell you. But it has to have the numbers. So that's the thing. That's why I put those 2 resources over on Patreon, Time Passages and AstroSeek, because they do have the house numbers specifically written on there, and some like newer apps don't. They just have like the planets there, and then they also don't have like the degrees by the planets, so you don't really know like how far close planets are to each other. So I really like the 2 that I posted on Patreon. But yeah, if you need help, just post it. My phone's here. I'll look at it and I'll let you know what house it is. So you want to look and see where Leo and Aquarius is. This is an axis that is being activated right now by the sun and moon, and it is seeking balance and integration. And we have some interesting aspects happening that might actually let us, do that. Our last Aquarius moon was when we talked about the Star of David, the fire and air star of David, 2 grand trines, and how we can like integrate these masculine elements to each other before we then integrate them to the feminine. And we talked about the 12 and the 13 and the 1. It's a deeply esoteric concept, so if you missed that video, maybe check it out. I'll unlock it for everyone. Maybe check that one out so you know what I'm talking about. But this moon as well has some interesting aspect patterns with some of those like farther points that most astrologers don't necessarily use, including the galactic center, that we can utilize to help bring these two opposing forces, the like egoic identity of the self and our passions, Leo, and the collective and the future and progress forward, Aquarius. But like we also want to have sovereignty within the system, which Aquarius very much rules. People think that it rules liberation from the system, and it does. It does rule that partially, because Aquarius is governed by both Saturn and Uranus, the planet of liberation. Saturn, the planet of structure of the system, and Uranus, the planet of liberation. It's ruled by both. So while it governs the dismantling of the system, it also governs the new system. So it kind of governs the order, the destruction of the order, and then the new order. And so we need to find our place in this. This is something we are all coming to terms with. The world is changing, and it's going to be changing around us. And how can we navigate it as a sovereign being, while staying true to humanity, while staying true to our future, while staying true to our own ideals, while also making room for others in order to stand up against said order, and create one that kind of works for all. And there's a lot of different paths being carved forward right now by like the powers that wanna be. And we have to start to kind of take the reins. But in order to do that, this is really about like reclaiming freedom within our own minds. So Aquarius is an air sign. It very much rules the mind. And in order for us to truly liberate ourselves from our like physical chains set upon us by the system that we live in, we first have to do it within. And Aquarius is very much the one that can like dive into that mind and start to liberate us from the egoic consciousness that Leo very much represents, and help us to expand beyond the solar system, because it's out beyond Saturn, and towards something else. But we have to make sure that what that something else is the right something else. We're going to talk about how there's different paths. Okay, yeah, Melly, let me know. And like I said, I'll help you find it. All right, so really quick, just some like basic stuff about Aquarius. This is the energy that's like in the air. If you've been with me, we went over this exact same slide in the last moon. So I'm not going to go too deep into it because you guys know I like tangents. But this is fixed air energy, and so it helps us to be like steady, have that like Saturnian stability in order to navigate the mind and, you know, understand it past duality and on to something else. But we have to learn how to kind of navigate them. So I talked in the last video that got glitched out about how all the air signs are representative of duality, and we're going to dive into this a little bit more as we get into some other slides here. But like you even see it in the glyphs. So we have Aquarius with the two streams that we're going to dive into tonight. We have Gemini with the two sides of the coin, right? Whatever polarity you want to add to that, light, dark, feminine, masculine, it represents it all. The like two sides of the mind, the left and right hemisphere. And Gemini usually is one or the other. It like bounces back and forth, right? In order to understand. And it wants to understand it all, and it can see itself in all. And then we have Libra, which is the scales that balances these two things in the middle. But then when we get to Aquarius, the final air sign, that is when, okay, we've seen both the sides in Gemini. We've learned the need to balance both sides in Libra. And now we're in Aquarius. And now we need to learn how to navigate both sides while in this world that's ruled by both sides. And so Aquarius is like fixed and steady with that Saturnian energy as well, and it gives us the ability to navigate from a grounded perspective, because it's ruled by Saturn and Uranus. So Aquarius governs the 11th house. So these are things that are coming up right now that you might want to focus around any sort of like moon ritual that you might do. Hopes, dreams, goals, the collective, friends, humanitarianism, the need to make contact with others, like in little group settings, how one receives love, social groups and mindsets, shared hopes and ideals, group activities, and money made from one's career. In the world, Aquarius rules all democratic institutions, progressive ideologies and ideals, all groups, and the revolutionary overthrow of established order, like revolution, uprising, rebellion. Actually, Uranus in mundane astrology, Uranus in Aquarius. It's so funny because in the like hippie movement or whatever, the counterculture movement of the 70s, they had that like age of Aquarius representing the like far left like hippie archetype. And it's so funny because in mundane astrology, Aquarius and Uranus, the like erratic energy, symbolizes the far right politics, like being like far right, anti-establishment, while the more on the left, the more liberal politics is represented by like Neptune, which is more like illusionary and just in like complete la la land. So I find that interesting. But yeah, in mundane astrology, it represents institutions that push us forward, as well as like the overthrow of any sort of like structure that is not working for us anymore, or sometimes even was working for us. Positive manifestations of Aquarius are this energy is extremely independent. It's the individual, the authentic individual who thinks outside the box. It's very progressive and weird, original, inventive, loyal, idealistic, like often to a fault, rational, rebellious, and revolutionary. And then some more challenging manifestations are that this energy is extremely volatile and unpredictable. It's like lightning. That's what astrologers always reference it to. It's like Aquarius energy is like lightning. It's like lightning. It's like pressure. I think Rick says this. Uranus energy, and we're experiencing this like Uranus-Saturn square, which are the two planets that govern Aquarius, while Saturn is in Aquarius all year. You guys have heard me talk about it. We're coming up to our third and final square in December, right before America's Pluto return, which will be in February. It's like a pressure cooker. It's like the energy of, particularly when Saturn and Uranus are like working together in any fashion, because Saturn is really helping to like constrain this Uranus energy, and it just eventually snaps. And like it has no control over where its energy goes after that. And it's said to be like lightning strikes that like bring down towers. But often like the towers needed to come down. So like I said here at the bottom, it says this energy is extremely unpredictable, rebellious, tactless, stubborn, emotionally oblivious, impersonal, detached. We're going to talk about why the human is so important right now. And this sign actually does represent our humanity, but it also represents our transcendence out of our humanity through like technology. So it's extremely detached, contrary, and progressive, but to what end? And we're going to talk about those different directions that it's going here. So first I want to read, if you guys have been with me for a while, you've heard me read this before, but it's good, and I want to talk about it because people always talk about Aquarius being like, oh, the age of Aquarius, oh, brotherhood and unity and love and all that jazz, and it's just like, that's not even it at all. Like, that is part of it, but it's not all of it. And so I always want to like remind myself, like, what do these archetypes actually mean, and not some like fluffy astrology nonsense about the age of Aquarius and we're all just gonna be one. Have you met an Aquarius? Like, they don't like anybody. Like, they do not like anybody. They like love humanity. They like love humanity, and they fucking hate humans. Most people they do not like, which is why I love Aquarius energy so much. But I have like a Libra stellium and a lot of Gemini placements, so they trine all the Aquarius placements. So I fucking love Aquarius. They're so weird. Oh my god, I love it so much. Okay. So Aquarius is, oh, and by the way, this is from my favorite symbolism book. It's by the author Sir Lot. I believe it is from the 20s or the 30s, and it is right there. I guess I could look and see what year it's from. It's called The Dictionary of Symbols, and I own many esoteric and occult dictionaries of symbols, and I don't use any of them. I reference them often, but I'm always just like, I don't like this, I don't like this. But this book does a really good job of touching on several different cultures and making sense. So Aquarius Crystal says, LOL, yes, I can confirm that as an Aquarius. Yes. You guys don't like anybody, you know? You just don't. So, like, I don't know where they get this, like, false archetype of Aquarius. I know where they get it from. It's a psyop. And we're going to talk about how, we talked a lot about how the New Age movement is infiltrated and how the Lionsgate is infiltrated. And we're going to get into here how, like, everything is, including astrology, including the origin of some of these asteroids and glyphs and things like that. So I'm going to try to stay focused, though, because this is probably going to be long. I have a bunch of shit I want to say. So Aquarius is the 11th archetypal sign of the zodiac. Its allegorical representation is of a man, like the dude over there. Particularly now in the West, this is the only version you see is like that dude over there. A figure of a man pouring water from an amphora, I believe is how you pronounce that. I could totally be wrong. In the Egyptian zodiac, however, Aquarius carries 2 of these amphoras, and this version merely affects the numerical symbolism. It affords clear proof of the dual force of the symbol, which we see in the glyph. Its active, passive aspects, and its evolution and involution. So like organic path of evolution and like an inorganic path of, you guys know I'm going to just say what it is. It's the transhumanist path. So, where was I? A duality, which is of the essence in the important symbol of Gemini. All Eastern and Western traditions relate this archetype to the symbolic flood, which stands not only for the end of a formal universe, but also for the completion of any cycle by the destruction of the power which held its components together, which would be Saturn. When this power ceases to function, the components return to the Akasha, the universal solvent, which is symbolized by Pisces. So, I wish I had my little astrology board, but my kid has it on the couch. So, the zodiac starts here with Aries. It has Cancer down at the bottom, at the abyss. If you guys have been following along with my latest videos, we talked about how that's the womb, that's the deepest we can go. It's the unconscious or the subconscious. It is the bottom of the zodiac. then moves up to the top of the zodiac, which is Capricorn, which is the pinnacle of the mountain. What's happening here? Okay, my thing seems to be glitching, but it seems to be okay, so I'm going to keep going. It looks like my thing just made itself smaller. Capricorn at the top of the mountain and that path of initiation. The next sign after Capricorn is Aquarius. So we've made it to the top, and now the crumbling begins. Now that structure that has been built needs to crumble in order to merge back with the cosmic waters of the Akash, of truth, of oneness, of that Piscean cosmic womb energy, of beyond the veil, right? So that's the concept here that they're talking about. Now, I cannot read this because it got super small, so hold on. Okay. I don't think I'm gonna read the rest of this. You guys can take a screenshot and read the rest of it, but pretty much it's like similar to what I was saying, like being reabsorbed back into the oneness, and about like that being like fertile ground for like new birth. So then Pisces then births Aries, and the new zodiac cycle begins from that like fresh seed and the wisdom of the last one, because we learn in cycles, right? So Aquarius is very much here to help destroy things, but it's like, okay, what are we destroying? Which one of these streams are we taking? So I have notes on this little diagram I made here. So I really started thinking about how the glyph has these like two streams, right? And it has these like two extremes. So it will have the like lower reflection of, you know, this path of like immortality, which we already are immortal and eternal. But this like idea of like transhumanism and this like inorganic timeline of killing the human and the humanity, and instead merging with machine and taking that route, which Uranus very much represents. It governs technology. Only reason we know about Uranus and actually any of the other planets past Uranus is because of the invention of the telescope. And so it has this energy of technology around it. The only reason we're able to do astrology like we're able to do now, or have these talks, or connect and piece the pieces together and wake the world up and end the tyranny, is also because of the internet. You know, technology is not bad, it's how you use it. So if we look at the bottom stream as that inorganic, like super inverted and dense in matter and scientific materialism, the top would be an equal extreme. So that is the like dissociative spirituality of that like Iranian, just completely, I mean, for lack of a better word, insane. I've been there. I've had my Saturn return was Saturn transited my Saturn the same time it transited my moon and my Uranus. So my Saturn return involved Uranus and the moon, and I went legitimately insane for a minute there. But like I went to that stream in order to learn and come back to center. And so I think that the lesson of Aquarius is how to navigate the middle as this like wise serpent, this like evolved knowledge grounded serpent that can see both sides and find its way within the middle. And if you notice, the glyphs have ups and downs. They both have ups and downs, and it's meant to happen like that in different paths, different like cycles of one extreme to the other, almost like a pendulum, but like always finding our way back to center. And now our paths take us to these extremes time and time again. They really do. And I think that we do ourselves a disservice when we get too comfortable in one. And so I think that we have to constantly be asking ourselves, where are we at? And where do I need to be in order to come back to center? Do I need more of this deeply out of this world spirituality? Do I need more of the physical, of the tangible, of the technological, of the higher mind that Uranus represents? What do I need to break free? Which is ultimately what Aquarius is all about. So I have like tons of notes that I wrote while I was channeling this whole thing that I'm going to cover before we dive into the chart. So we have these like two streams that are always at odds with one another, right? And right now we see a big split occurring in the collective with like, you can definitely see where these two streams are right now. It really is one that is standing for truth and sovereignty, and organic humanity, and another that is really okay with the groupthink that Aquarius is fine with oftentimes, as long as they can be. It's interesting. Aquarius is such a, like it said on that slide, such a paradox. They simultaneously, depending on how you're manifesting your Aquarian energy, you can either be the biggest rebel, the biggest like, I don't fit into any box, I'm gonna do the weirdest, most out of the world thing, or they are very much of the group, of the collective. It's usually one small weird niche collective, but whatever that niche collective believes, they will very, very, very much fight for. And so we see this happening right now. And so I see this a lot happening in the spiritual community. And I have been like so guilty of this before. Like, you guys know, if you follow me for a while, like I gave the QAnons like such a hard time. Like such a hard time I gave the QAnons. And the like false light Luciferic agenda as well. And I think that that was needed in order to like shake people out of certain belief structures. But at the end of the day, those people, honestly, their core beliefs align with mine. Like, I also like Republicans. Like, I was so against Trump and the Republicans in general, and like right now a lot of them are standing more for like body sovereignty than anybody on the other side. They're glitching me out now that I'm talking about this stuff. But what I'm getting at here is that we're seeing two streams occur, and these two streams are warring for dominance for this future timeline, right? We need to navigate both because they both are unfolding. They both are unfolding simultaneously, but we need to understand where our allegiance lies and learn to kind of like reach across the table and welcome in opposing viewpoints, as long as those like core beliefs are what you stand for, you know? Maybe we look at source a little bit differently. Maybe our politics do not align. Maybe we have different views on pretty much almost everything, but right now, how do you feel about the rollout of the New World Order agenda? Are you for it or are you against it? Because right now we need to be standing with those who are. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about like crazy terrorist organizations or things like that, okay? YouTube, just to be clear. I'm obviously talking about like your neighbor, your those close to you, those in your immediate community, and also like reaching out through technology as well to like let our voices be heard. Which kind of brings me to my next point. The internet is getting crazy, you guys. The censorship and just the inability to like connect and even post about things on a regular basis on Instagram or anywhere else. So I was thinking about kind of opening up the Discord for like invites of if you guys have any friends that you know would really value the like discourse that goes on over there, the conversations, the posts, the community, invite them. I think that you can just send a link and invite them. I'm just kind of like opening it. I'm not going to open it to be like a public server by any means, but if anybody who's part of the alliance has some friends that they think really need this right now, which I think we all do, even just the ability to like say what you think without full blown having to like literally censor yourself by like typing in code, invite them. Like I'm willing to just open it up right now for anybody and everybody who needs this like camaraderie. And I really feel that it's about uniting all these different like tribes. And I was telling Sharon earlier today that I think that we were all placed into like slightly different fields, like slightly different niche fields in order to build that like soul family, that like tribal bonds with these certain factions of the world, and then to bring them together ultimately in order to stand firm, in order to fight back. We are not going to be able to get out of this without standing up for ourselves. Like, I don't know if you guys are paying attention to what's happening down in Australia and other places right now, but they are not going to make this easy. The FDA mandates, or the FDA approval, and then inevitable mandates are literally right around the corner as early as tomorrow. Things are about to get really, really real, and we need to learn how to set aside our differences, whether it be witches and Christians or Democrats and Republicans or whatever you believe. It honestly really doesn't matter anymore. What matters is, what do you stand for moving forward? This that is being laid out for us and is not going to end well for humanity at all, or something that is more for the people, Aquarius. And so I really see a lot of like hands reaching across the table happening in the future here, in order to be of service to a higher cause. And this Virgo energy, which we are now in Virgo season. Virgo transited the sun after having this full moon this morning. Then right after it transited into Virgo. So that's why everybody is feeling so much more grounded and able to kind of like breathe and assess the situation. And now we can start to figure out how our energy can best be of service moving forward to us, those closest to us, and the like greater good. Okay, Melly, I will check really quick. Or Sharon, you're pretty good with charts. Can you check her chart in the chat and see if it is in the astrology section and see if it's 6 or 7 for Melly? Okay. So I wrote here the deluge is going to come, especially, you know, all this talk of the age of Aquarius, which hasn't started yet. The vernal equinox being set in Aquarius is supposedly when the age of Aquarius is supposed to start, and it's not for, I think, several hundred years. Don't quote me on that. I'll have to check. But the deluge is represented by Aquarius. It's part of the chart. It's part of the cosmos, and we cannot get out without it occurring. And so we need to like embody the waters of, please, shit. Please don't do that. Oh, you're still there? Okay, it just glitched for a second. I'm gonna bring this down here away from that glitch. Okay. My computer's broken, but it's letting me kind of do this. Oh, she's stirring up pancake batter for tomorrow morning. Remind me in like 10 minutes. Oh my gosh, Sharon, that sounds delicious. Okay, I don't remember what I was saying, so I'm just going to read this right here. It's time that the tribes unite. We need to set our differences aside. The core beliefs are what matters. We need to understand like what stream we're feeding and how can we integrate the two together. which do you stand for right now? Everything has a duality, right? And so right now, there's a split happening on what this new order is going to look like, okay? We have Saturn transiting through Aquarius. I've said this before. It's kind of like humanity's Saturn return. So Aquarius is representative of humanity. We have Saturn transiting it, and it's almost like humanity, the collective, is having a whole big Saturn kick in the ass. At the same time that America is having its Pluto return, which is like a massive transit we can't even begin to fathom. It happens every like 250 years. It's mind-boggling. We don't even know what to expect, but it is going to be Plutonian in nature. Complete transformation, death, and rebirth. Like, things are going to happen. I wish I could tell you that we could think our positive way out of it and just align with magic and rainbows and all kinds of fabulous love and light stuff. I really, really, really wish we could do that. I really wish the law of attraction could really come in and just help us to just manifest some wonderful shit. And it's just, yeah, those things are great. And those things will help on some energetic level. But shit is going to go down. Shit is going to go down, and it has to go down in order for this deeply ingrained system to crumble. So I wrote here, the time to unite in honor of our future is now. Will it be freedom or slavery? Sovereignty or an idealized false utopia? Will it be paradise and soul expansion, or an inorganic evolution and an extermination of our humanity and the organic human as we know it? These are the two things that are manifesting right now, and unfortunately we have to navigate both of them. I wrote here that in the glyph, both streams go up and both streams go down. Both streams start and both end, for nothing lasts forever except energy. No, not matter, not light, not earth, water, fire, air, but only the source that created it all, of which we will one day return. Kind of representative of that Pisces energy we talked about already. But until then, which energy stream are we taking? How can we navigate both? Which one will we align with? We must navigate both these streams. But where do we hold allegiance? The higher path of an organic evolution or the inorganic reflection? It's the mimic of man's creation. It's the mimic of the creation of the mind, not of the divine order of nature. It's fake, it's illusionary, it's transhuman. It's not the natural rise in consciousness that Aquarius and Uranus also represents. It's either like the evolved human, the evolved Aquarian man, or the death of man altogether and the replacement with machine. We must embrace our human in order to save humanity. Okay, we're going to get into the chart. I have like a whole bunch of other stuff on that, but I think you guys get the point. So let's dive in the chart. And then I have more stuff that I want to cover, but I want to cover some regular stuff first. Okay, so this is a picture of our chart. Sorry, I have two computers going here because there's asteroids that only that software has. I spent $300 on software last night, and it literally doesn't even have the Galactic Center or Sirius. It has a whole bunch of stars, but not Sirius. Whole bunch of weird asteroids and not ones that I use, and I'm just like, what the hell? Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go over to the chart. Hopefully you guys can hear me and see me the whole time. Actually, I'm gonna flip this over in case you guys lose me. Just tag me on Instagram, on wherever or something. All right, so this is a picture of the moment of our moon, which was actually early this morning at 5 a.m. Sorry for the late video. Like I said, blame Uranus. It's what I'm doing. He messed with all my stuff. So this morning at 5:01 a.m., and that was Pacific Standard Time. And it fell at 29 degrees of Aquarius, opposite the sun, at 29 degrees of Leo. Only a couple of degrees away from Jupiter, considered conjunct. The 29th degree is known as the critical crisis degree. It's like a degree of like extreme energy, the peak of a sign. It's known as the anaretic degree, I believe is how you pronounce it, but it's a very critical degree that is said to like really initiate things into existence. This moon falls conjunct Jupiter retrograde, only about 10 degrees away from Alexandria, in what's known as a kite formation with some interesting points, okay? So we have at the top of the kite, it's kind of hard to see here. I had a slide on the other one where I outlined it, but it's not on this computer, so you'll just have to roll with this and follow along with me. Okay, so this is the top of the kite, this conjunction right here, with a sextile to the galactic center. Follow the blue lines. A trine to the sun, really the sun Alexandria conjunction. A trine to Eris and Hecate over here in Aries, which actually happens to be conjunct the Andromeda galaxy's black holes. So we have two black holes activated in this kite, which then sextiles the moon itself. So you see these blue lines, blue line, blue line, blue line, blue line, and then this grand trine right here. This is what's known as a kite formation. I did a lot of research on kites to see, okay, what do astrologers say about this aspect pattern? What does it actually mean? And like everything, you can't really get a straight answer. And there's kind of like two schools of thought, okay? Both agree that this aspect pattern is representative of fate and destiny. This is a fire-air trine, so it is very focused on expansion, particularly with that Jupiter placement up at the head. But I'm going to go ahead and read what I wrote here. Okay, so a kite is always created by an opposition, so the opposition that is the full moon, and then a grand trine and a minor grand trine made through the sextiles. So these two triangles and the opposition, right? So we have these planets that are at odds. But then we have a grand trine and we have a minor grand trine that are bringing beneficial energies. But astrologers read them like one of two ways. So the opposition is going to create challenges and opposing factors that are kind of at odds with each other. So look to see what houses are activated. I'm sure you're feeling a kind of like pull in these to find some sort of like equilibrium. So there's challenges brought on by these opposing factors, but these challenges and oppositions motivate us to take action. Traditionally, these are associated with fate and destiny. Some astrologers believe that the opposition must be resolved first in order to unlock the grand trine and the minor grand trine. But other astrologers say that it's the grand trine and the minor grand trine that help you to balance the two opposing forces. So I tend to be of the later version. I think that this opposition was always here. This opposition is here. It's a full moon. It's an opposition that's always going to be there. I think what's special right now is the rest of it. And I think those things are coming to help us to integrate it. And so I think leaning into these aspects are going to help us to integrate these opposing forces. So what do we have here? We have the moon conjunct Jupiter in Aquarius, in a sextile to the galactic center, and in a sextile to the Andromeda galactic center, which is that like divine partner to the Milky Way. More indicative, I would think, of the female archetype just because of mythology, but the divine counterpart to an other. And that happens to be conjunct to other divine female counterparts. Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft and magic itself, who rules over all realms. And Eris, who's there to help shake things up in order for new life to blossom and the rigid order not to take over. She really there like to just kind of shake shit up. And then those are trining our sun here in Leo. So we're really working on like the identity of the self, working with this like greater cosmic force in order to kind of like embrace the chaos and the deluge a little bit, in order to kind of like not fight against the stream, but like navigate the stream, the inevitable stream. The stream is coming. There ain't shit we can do about the stream. A stream is coming. We can either fight against it and probably drown, or we can, I don't know, maybe build a boat, or learn how to swim, or learn how to navigate the stream into the right end. And I think that right now, this main axis of polarity in our chart, this Aquarius energy has been so lit up this year, like so lit up, such a focus. And right now, the sun transiting through Leo is really helping like our egoic consciousness, our egoic mind to kind of like see what it needs to do. We're starting a new chapter in the area of our life that is ruled by Leo. We started it about 2 weeks ago at the new moon. We're having a culmination in the area of our life that is ruled by Aquarius while simultaneously being forced to let go of some stuff around there. Being as though it is conjunct Jupiter, I have a guess it's probably around belief structures, ideals, and beliefs. Around groups and the collective and the future and our path in it, and the hopes and dreams we have for it are starting to get a little bit more practical so that we can actually, actually manifest them into reality. I think we were a little delusional, and transits such as this Jupiter retrograde that the moon is conjunct and the Neptune retrograde that's transiting through Pisces are really helping to shatter a lot of illusions around all of that for us to be able to actually see from a more logical perspective, which this Virgo sun, now we're in Virgo season, the sun has moved into Virgo, is here to also help solidify. We had the Mars-Mercury conjunction earlier as well that really helped to solidify a lot of that like grounded Virgo logic, analytical thought to navigate and map a plan of action in order to transverse this deluge and make it to the mountaintop in order to start civilization again. I'm not saying that's exactly where we're going. If you look at the esoteric teachings of Edgar Cayce, he says that the last epoch was ended because of water. But the next one, the one that we're about, is supposedly what's supposed to kill us, is an invisible thing in the air, which I find very ironic considering the towers and satellites we have being put everywhere right now. But that's what they say, a visible thing in the air. So when I talk about deluge, I'm actually being more symbolic of the destruction of the system and the building of a new, which we are very much in this like limbo here. But I think I talked about most of the stuff that's going on around here. We talked a lot before about how Uranus just stationed retrograde. Look and see where Taurus falls in your chart. Uranus has been transiting here for a while. And this retrograde is a chance to help us like really dig into this area of focus and liberate ourselves from something. Uranus retrogrades are always there to help kind of break us free in order to set us on a little bit of a different, higher trajectory. Just a little bit each time. You know, we're not always going exactly where we're supposed to be going, but it helps break us free in little lightning spurts. And I would look and see where Taurus falls right now, because that area is definitely going to be a focus as we continue out this year. And we slowly, you see how this red line is skinny right now from Uranus to Saturn. It'll slowly be getting thicker and thicker and thicker as they get closer and closer and closer to each other and meet again in December. So we're feeling it here. The Aquarius and Taurus places in our chart are a key spot for this entire year. And right now we're being given a chance to kind of liberate ourselves a little bit. A lot of the astrologers are talking about how beautiful this moon is, how it's so optimistic and wonderful and magical because of the Jupiter conjunction right there. And I do think that. He's also there to help expand all the Uranian things. So he's going to just blow up the Uranian protests that are happening and make them just be probably fairly out of hand. He's also going to blow up all the different groupthink mentalities that we see happening in our collective. Because, like I said before, Aquarius rules both the rebel and the conformist. Conforms to little group mindsets or just can't conform to fucking anything. Oh my god, I love Aquarius so much. But we're going to see Jupiter come and expand all these archetypes right now. So in addition to Jupiter coming to expand our hopes and our dreams, because Aquarius rules our hopes and our dreams and Jupiter rules expansion and joy and optimism, yes, these are real archetypes that are available to us right now, 100%. But we also have to look at the world stage. Like, this is in the midst of, like, Saturn is here. These are karmic expansions, karmic blow-ups of heated emotions revolving around our future and humanity as a whole. Both of these planets are retrograde right now, and so it's like karmic redos, like we're being tested. Saturn has been transiting this area for a very long time. All of 2021, it got there at the end of 2020. So all of 2021, since the winter solstice of 2020, when we had the Great Conjunction there, which started a new 20-year cycle, it's been a key focus. And these are not just like regular hopes and dreams. It's like, are we gonna fight for fucking hopes and dreams? Are we gonna fight for the liberation and freedom that this archetype represents? Or are we going to conform and find safety in numbers, which Aquarius also represents? You know, the numbers, the individual and the numbers. It's such a paradox. It's so strange. Okay. Maybe I'll just post all these notes in the Discord, because I wrote like so much stuff, but I feel like I also have said a lot of it. So, okay, love you. See you later, Sharon. I'm going to be wrapping it up here soon. We're just going to come finish a couple of these slides. So this is a picture of what that kite looks like, if you just to make it so you guys can see it better. We're really leaning into this like fate, this concept of fate, and this concept of like shaking it up and like letting go of like the concept of like divine order, and really seeing like what like, are we building our own cage? You know what I mean? Like, are we building our own cage? Are we even awake enough to break free? And can we get out of our own way? Can our mind get out of our own way in order to unite with our fellow man in time to break free? Because it starts within, and you can liberate yourself, your mind, your soul, your whatever. You can liberate yourself and find sovereignty and wholeness and oneness within. And that's great. And yes, we all need to do that, and we all are working on doing that. But then we need to figure out how to reach our hands across the table and claim that as a collective. And so I started diving into this concept of fate, just kind of like pondering it. And then I remembered that I had this book, The Astrology of Fate by Liz Green, who is a very sought after famous astrologer. And I always just open books to random chapters and stuff. But I opened this to Fate and the Feminine. I'm just going to read a little passage here, because I feel like we need to learn how to give up a sense, like a little bit of control. I feel like we talk a lot about co-creating. And yes, we definitely need to do that. But we also need to learn how to let go. So I'm just going to read a little bit here. This is talking about the fates. I'm not going to read the leading up to this, but pretty much it was introducing the three fates. So it says, the daughters of Nyx, the goddess of night, or Urda, the earth mother, they are called Miari, or Enrius, or Norns, or Grieri. Probably pronounced every one of those words wrong. Or the triple-faced Hecate, which you can see is conjunct the black hole of Andromeda right now, and Eris. The three-faced Hecate. They are three in form and aspect, the three lunar phases, the promising waxing crescent, the fertile full face, and the sinister dark of the moon are in mythic image the three phases of woman: maiden, mother, crone. Clotho weaves the thread, Lochnis measures it, and Anthropos cuts it, and the gods themselves are bound by these three, for they were first out of the mother night, before Zeus, before Apollo brought the revelations of man's eternal and incorruptible spirit out of the sky. The spindle of the universe turns on the knees of necessity, and on the upper surface of each circle is a siren who goes around with them, humming a single tone or note. The eight together form one harmony. Sharon, you're going to like that when you hear this tomorrow. And a roundabout. At equal intervals there is another band, three in number, each sitting upon her throne. These are the Fates, the daughters of necessity, who are clothed in white robes and have chaplets upon their head. Plato's, which is what that was that I was just reading, Plato's intricate geometric vision of the cosmos, with necessity and the Fates at the center governing all, is echoed by Acleos in Prometheus Bound. The chorus says, "Who guides the helm then of necessity?" Prometheus replies, "Fates, triple formed, Enris, unforgetting." Chorus, "Is Zeus then weaker in his might than these?" Prometheus, "Not even he can escape the thing decreed." And the philosopher Hercules in Cosmic Fragments declares, with less than his unusual ambiguity, "Sun will not overstep the sun, like the solar sun, will not overstep his measures. If he does, the Fates, the minions of justice, will find him out." This is the last bit I'm going to read. The 2nd century Gnostic text, the Corpus Hermeticum, phrases this with beautifulness. And so these two, fate and necessity, are bound to one another mutually. to inseparable cohesion. The former of them gives birth to the beginning of all things. Necessity compels the end of all, depending from these principles. On these does order follow. So that will be later. That will come from like Zeus and Apollo and then like the masculine mind. From these does order follow. That is their warp and woof, and time's arrangement for the perfection of all things, for there is naught without an interblend of order. We need a semblance of order. It is a very particular kind of fate from which we are dealing here, and it is not really concerned with predestination in ordinary sense. This fate, which the Greeks call Meroira, is the minion of justice, that which balances or avenges the overstepping of laws of natural development. This fate punishes the transgressors of the limits set by necessity. So what I got from that is that nothing is going to last forever. I mean, we know this, right? We know the Earth is not going to be here forever. Our sun is going to explode. Our galaxies are going to collide with Andromeda. Things aren't going to be here forever, right? And also, like, orders don't last forever. I've been, reading a lot about, I'm going to post these cards in the Discord, you guys. We're not going to go over these tonight because it's getting kind of late. But I've been researching a lot about the fall of Rome in general. And there's like a lot of different reasons why that like giant order fell, And a lot of it is probably has to do with fate, Things will occur. And no matter how dark it gets moving forward here, just know that like nothing is permanent. We cannot give up. We cannot let them win. This song very much speaks to that. Like, do not let them build the wall between us. Do not let them win. Do not give up. Nothing lasts forever. And when these measures come and it looks like this whole new order has been implemented, like, just know, like, nothing lasts forever. And we are so much more powerful than them. Like, we are the 99%. They are the 1%. They are that lion. They're the elites. That's why they call themselves the 1%. They know they're fucking small. They know they are an elite club and that we are bigger. So we need to learn how to purge the beliefs, not just purge, but like question, or you know how the moon is conjunct Jupiter right now? I just realized I just made this connection right now. The moon is very much, our shadows. It's very much the hidden, darker, lower conscious, subconscious aspects. And at a full moon, we're having illumination. And so that illumination is happening in the area that is ruled by Aquarius, and Jupiter is there as well. And so we're really showing where our beliefs have stood in the way from us uniting as a collective, and like what beliefs really matter. Where do we stand in our values? Where do we stand in our truth? And how can we not nitpick in order to unite? It's so funny, and it happens in every area. Like right now, like Eddie watches a lot of like progressive politic YouTubes, and it's like they used to always be complaining about Trump, and now they don't really have Trump to complain about no more, and now they've just turned on each other. So and so isn't as progressive enough. Oh my God, he's a corporate Democrat, and this, and it's just like, you guys are you're just fighting amongst yourselves. And I know we do that in the spiritual community as well, with like, well, I believe this, and they're false light, and they're this, and they're this, and they're all of this stuff. And it's like, okay, we've pointed out a lot of things, and a lot of us have found our path and snapped out of a lot of different belief systems, and it was really great for everybody to like help trigger us and snap us out and pass the message along. But now it's time to unite for a greater cause. I really do believe that, and I think that is why this year had these 2 Aquarius moons in a row to show us, illuminate that area with Saturn transiting through there right before America has its Pluto return. Yo, pay attention to this. This is where you should be looking. This is where the light is shining. Pay attention. Really quick, I did just want to show you guys something, so I'm pretty much done. I'm going to post some of these notes in the Discord. I think I'm going to write a little thing and post it in there, but I mostly talked about all this. You guys get it. It's just kind of like how I came to all my conclusions. Virgo. Lean into the Virgo energy. Virgo helps us to like lean into like the mundane and like access our human, which is our anchor point. In order to expand through the Jupiterian energy. And if we're not anchored in, we can't expand into anything else. We'll just kind of like float and be not really a help to anybody. Okay, so I just want to show you guys this. So my computer glitched last night, right? And I freaked out and I bought this expensive software for a Mac, $300 freaking Astro Gold software, which everybody said was going to be the same as this other software, and newsflash, it's not. It barely has any asteroids or black holes or anything. It doesn't have any black holes. And I like spent all this time trying to set up this computer. Didn't have my asteroids, but then I noticed in its very short asteroid list, it did have some interesting asteroids that I didn't think should really be there. So the first one I noticed was that it had the asteroid America, and I was like, I want to see where that is. And so I put that on my chart. And then in this very short list, like a very short list, don't have Atlantis, don't have Alexandria, don't have a lot of the asteroids that I use, but they had the asteroid Wuhan, which wasn't discovered until 1980. If you guys have been a member of the Alliance for a while, I posted somewhere in the Discord, I don't know, you can Google it, super easy. The astrologer Demetra George, she is like a asteroid expert, like the asteroid expert, and she did a blog post about the asteroid Wuhan and its connection and all its crazy transits connected to the whole like coronavirus thing in the beginning. And so I knew it existed, but I didn't know what any of these glyphs looked like. And then I also noticed that they had the asteroid Lucifer, which my other software didn't have, and I have always wondered where it's at. I've tried to add it a couple of times, but I was never able to, so I added those. So I just want to show you guys what this glyph looks like, and I have to do it like this, so just bear with me. Okay, so the fucking glyph for America is literally an all-seeing eye. It's literally a triangle with a freaking eye in it. Hold on. Okay, it's literally a triangle with an eye in it. Focus. Okay, you see that? And it's conjunct, off by like a couple of degrees, the asteroid Wuhan, which is, what is that? A motherfucking chromosome. Like, literally, that's a chromosome, right? That has been genetically spliced. That little spot right there has been spliced, right? That's what I'm seeing, right? Somebody please tell me if I'm seeing the right thing. But that is what I see here. And actually, the asteroid America is trining this moon. So you can see the asteroid America falls at 24 degrees of Gemini right now, trining Jupiter and the moon. So it is in a trine to this moon, very close to Wuhan as well. So I don't know who is in charge of making these glyphs. I did a bunch of research last night trying to figure out who gets to decide what the glyphs are for freaking asteroids, and I cannot find any information. And then I had to try to figure out how to get this whole computer set up, so I didn't have any time. But maybe if you guys want to jump in that rabbit hole with me and we can find out who did this, who made this Wuhan glyph like this. This is worrisome. This is sketchy. Who made this? Why? Why is this like this? Why? Don't like it. And then I would also like to note that the asteroid Lucifer is currently at 28 degrees of Virgo. And the asteroid Atlantis, which this program doesn't have, is at 1 degree of Libra, meaning we are just off of a Lucifer Atlantis conjunction as Atlantis leaves the polarized light of Lucifer into a conjunction with Venus and the supergalactic center this month. So it leaves the polarized light of Lucifer towards the balance of the equinox point and the supergalactic center. So I don't know, I've pulled everybody into a rabbit hole. We need to figure this out. Somebody needs to help me figure out who makes these glyphs. Why does that look like a chromosome? Why is that an all-seeing eye? Let me show you. Why does this only software that Mac has available have barely any asteroids? Hold on. Barely any asteroid options. Like, look, this is the list of asteroids here. Super small. This is small compared to all my other softwares. But it decided that it wanted Wuhan. Such a random small, it's just weird to me. All of this is weird. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you guys. Also, those asteroids happen to be, cancel. Those asteroids happen to be active in the current chart, through a trine to the moon. And then this conjunction right here at Atlantis just left Lucifer and entered the supergalactic center, which is right here, which is super significant. And whenever I find an asteroid, a new asteroid, it's always having some crazy alignment with something in the sky. It's so weird. But anyway, I wanted to share that with you guys. And I think that's all for tonight. It's 10:30. I have some cards that I'll post in the Discord. Maybe we'll just read these ones right here. It's just so hot in this room. I need to figure out how to get a fan that isn't so super loud. So I pulled an Atlantis card, and I pulled some cards from the Spiritual as Fuck deck, and then I pulled 2 archetypes. I'll post the archetype ones in the Discord. But this one is the water card, of course. Aquarius is an air sign, but it's known as the water bearer. It brings the flood. It brings the deluge. And then 2 other cards here, which we'll read. So the water one is card number 21. And it says, the citizens of Golden Atlantis were aware that water washes, hydrates, and is a cosmic cleanser. Kind of like embrace the deluge, which purifies people at a cellular level. They knew that flowing water soothes emotions, opens up spiritual and psychic emotions. Soothes emotions and opens up spiritual and psychic potential. And that it's a force which can be harnessed to change situations. So they placed fountains in every temple and swam in rivers or picnicked by lakes whenever possible. Most of all, they liked to sit and contemplate where they could hear the sound of running water. What I just got during that, before I read the other part, is like, if you're going down a stream, okay, you can either be, like I talked about earlier, fighting it, trying to swim upstream, trying to fight it, being pulled under, drowning, or you can like float down it. And if you are calm and collected and harness the power of the flowing stream to float with it, then you can navigate it like in a ship or a boat, and you can, like they said, harness it to change situations. You can turn this way or you can turn that way. You can navigate it. And so that's like a big message that came through for this moon, is those 2 streams and how to navigate both of them simultaneously, which is like very hard. But they're both here. We can't ignore one. We cannot ignore one, or it feeds the other, or it feeds it, we have to address both, and we have to navigate both. And you know me, I'm always going to come back to the middle path. So purification. Your guidance is to spend time today near water, preferably by a river, lake, or sea, or in a bath or shower, or a glass of tea, or a bottle of water. As you immerse yourself in the cosmic energy, sense it purifying each soul of your body. If you cannot physically be in or near water, visualize it. Use water for deep inner and outer cleansing. I would maybe also like envision yourself going down that stream that's inevitable, like the stream is inevitable. And like visualize yourself navigating it to the vision that you have for whatever house Aquarius rules for you. You can envision like going down the stream and like things being left behind on like the sides of the stream that you're like leaving behind at this moon, and then you can like picture stuff in the forefront that you're like moving towards. Might be interesting. So these other cards say, very Aquarian, be yourself, even if you're crazy. Stop worrying about normal ass, nothing ass people judging your weird, cool ass. I think we pulled these same two cards recently, or maybe it was for a reading, I can't remember. But in order to love who you are, you cannot hate the experiences that shaped you. And that goes for us as a human collective as well, not just as an individual. I think we really need to understand the lessons that the past held for us, that history held. You guys know I'm like a weird history buff. Not like a total history buff, I only like certain eras, but those I'm slightly obsessed with. It's not normal. But I feel like they hold a lot of lessons and wisdom for us. And so like, what is your soul drawn to? Those are probably like past life experiences that hold knowledge and wisdom that you need to integrate, which probably also speaks to that Sun Alexandria conjunction we're currently having. So it says here, this is about your weird cool ass, be weird. It says, there will be none of that today, like worrying what people think. Anytime you feel yourself worrying about any of those asses, remember who you gotta wake up to every morning. You, baby, you. Your job is to make sure you're good on your own terms. Check in with what you really care about and make sure you're living up to that, not what all those asses out there might be thinking. And then this one about not hating your experiences says, anything truly cool about you was created from the life you've lived. Remember that when you start to wind down the shame spiral, no time is wasted, no love is wasted, no tears are wasted, no breath is wasted. You being you is important, and every single thing that made you is of value. Tell shame to suck it. And then these ones I will post in the Discord right now before I go to bed, and we can read those over there. But I adore you guys so much. Thank you for coming over with me late. I know it's super late, and I know this video is also late because the moon was this morning, but technical difficulties. And I do think it helped me to kind of like sit with this energy a little bit more, you know? Sometimes it's a lot of like predicting the coming energy, astrology is, but it's nice to kind of like sit with it and like experience the actual lunation and moon and then like explain it. And you know, we can see. Oh, Crystal says that was fascinating and I learned so much. I love all the stuff about the Aquarius glyph. Thank you. Oh, you're so welcome. I have some more notes on that I'll post in the Discord. If you could read my handwriting. I don't know if you could read my handwriting, but I'll post it in the astrology section. But I was saying that it's nice to kind of sit with the moon and then like break down its energy a little bit later after, you know, we can see the Aquarius archetype rising in the world just looking at it, and Australia in particular. But it was very nice to have you guys here. Oh, let me see. We have our cosmic circle coming up. When is it? The 26th. Okay, so the 26th at 9 o'clock is our cosmic circle where the $33 tier and above all meets and chats on Zoom. The last three we've done, I have forgot to press record. And then I decided that was a message. And so they're not going to be recorded anymore for like replay unless we start popping off on some rabbit hole. That was Sharon's. Can you comment the name of the app that you downloaded on your Mac? Okay, so this is an astrology software program that is called Astro Gold that I downloaded on the Mac. It is $300. It is very expensive, but they have Astro Gold for an iPad and like an app for a phone, which I think is like $40. So I think it's like $40. So maybe do that. But that is $300. It's very expensive. And if you have a PC, I recommend SolarFire. SolarFire is so much better. Apparently, SolarFire is supposed to come out for a Mac here shortly. The guy tells me I have to wait and be patient. And I'm just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm like in between two computers right now, and neither one of them is working for me. Oh, this is such an Aquarius dilemma. It's so weird that I dealt with technology all day today on an Aquarius full moon. And you guys know I freaking hate tech. And so it was like, yeah, well, we're going to make you do it because we know you're never going to do it. And that computer that your partner bought you is just going to sit there for several more months before you use it. Because I wasn't using it. But yeah, it's Astro Gold. And then I heard recently from some astrologer friends that there's a really affordable app that you can download on your Mac as well that's called Chiron, but it's spelled with a K, not a C. Chiron. It looks like it says Chiron. And it's like $44. And several astrologers have been talking about that one lately. I don't have it or use it, but it was like $44. But this one, it's easy to read and it's clean and it's easy to use. It just doesn't have a lot of the points that I use. I'm actually might be returning it. I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure out what to do. I don't know. But I think I should just get a new PC. I don't know. But thank you so much. Happy full moon. Find some time to be around water. Find some time to like clear your mind. Tap into that like element of air as well that Aquarius represents, which very much also represents our voice, our breath, our ability to speak our truth and liberate ourselves from the Saturnian system that Aquarius also represents. It's so weird. I don't know how to explain Aquarius. It's so strange, but I'm definitely realizing that mainstream astrology doesn't know what they're talking about. And so I've been focusing a lot more on like diving deep into the archetypes for myself, the glyphs for myself, the origin points for myself, and trying to figure out what these things mean for myself instead of pop astrology resources. But then it just shows me that we really don't know shit about shit. So, I mean, don't take my word for any of this. Just go for whatever it is that your Aquarian soul resonates with, your own authentic truth, your own originality. Be as weird and as original right now as possible. That's what we're working to cultivate. This culmination is of our authenticity, of our freedom. But we're also being asked to release things that aren't aligned with our authentic truth and are contrary to the sense, to the idea or ideal freedom. So happy full moon. And this energy, you know, the sun moved into Virgo right after, so it shifted a little bit. The moon then transited right out because it was the 29th degree. So we've already kind of passed this. So kind of look back and see like, what was the morning like? What was yesterday like? That was really where these things were being activated. And now we're kind of like past the hump and we're in this sort of like integration, transmutation phase, deconstruction phase as we transit on to the Virgo new moon, where we will really set course, a plan of action. That is where we will seed the little seeds of a semblance of a plan, which I don't have right now. I really have no idea what to do. All I know is that we cannot consent body sovereignty, true organic health. These are all Virgo archetypes, and these are all things we're going to be fighting for here, while simultaneously the hypochondriacs come out, which are also Virgo archetypes, and think we're killing them by not following their scientific cult. So Virgo season is going to be interesting. But it's going to help give us the grounded, logical, analytical capabilities in order to map a tangible plan of action in order to navigate this mundane realm that manifests as both these streams. Virgo has that mercurial mind that Gemini has, but more grounded in the earth element in order to like see these streams and hopefully navigate. They also can be conformists in their own right, but usually out of service. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, if you guys have any friends that you want to invite over to the Discord, do it. I'm down. Just make sure they're nice and they're not going to be mean to anybody. But other than that, I'm here to open up the community to anybody that might resonate with it moving forward, because social media is definitely gonna get trickier. More restrictions, more censoring. Yeah. All right, guys. Have a great night, and I will see you for our Cosmic Circle or our Cosmic Kids. If you guys have kids, this is open for all Patreon members, or if you want to just come on the 29th, the evening of the 29th, we're going to do like a crafting. Everybody gets together and just kind of like does their own crafts, like paint or whatever, and just chat on Zoom with the kids. So we're going to have all the kids come. If you do not have children, but you would like to come and craft with us, you totally can. So I will send out a link to everybody for that. So I think we're just going to have some canvases and some paints, and just let the kids, talk and craft. So that'll be on the 29th. So the 26th and the 29th are like little Zoom interactive meet and chat type of thing.